So I have the highest respect for people who serve and protect our country, and the sacrifices that they make can sometimes be the ultimate sacrifice, actually give their life. For those that survive, a lot of those people have seen a lot of horrible stuff, gone through a lot of really difficult experiences. Can you talk a little bit about anything that you might have seen or experienced over there that was difficult for you to deal with?
So when you come back from something like that, what a lot of Jews don't get into their head is the war doesn't end. You know what I mean? Like for me, my mind is always in that valley, you know, in Sang and in Musekela. I'm still there, and the battle's still there. So I'm on a different fight now. You know what I mean? I took the fight to the enemy. Now that I'm back here, I got to take the fight to my brain and get all these negative thoughts out.
How did you take the fight to the enemy there?
I had to get to the enemy. Locate, close with, and destroy the enemy by fire and maneuver. Repel an enemy assault by fire and close combat. That's the infantry.
Take two. Tell me that one more time, please, if you don't mind. Sure.
Now I'm having a brain for now. I forgot what the fuck I said. Ready?
Yep.
Am I good now?
Yep.
To locate and destroy the enemy by fire and maneuver, or repel an enemy assault by fire and close combat. Mm-hmm. That's the infantry thing. You know, we're gonna take it to them as much as we can. You know, whether that's calling in air, doing small arms fire, maneuvering with your squad or your team, we're gonna bring it to you. That's just what Marines do. We fight, and that's just what we're good at. We've been doing it for generations, and we're going to keep doing it for generations. So you got to kind of have that mentality that I'm going to bring the fight to you, you know. But once you hear that first round crack by your head, your very first one, you get that like, oh shit, this is happening, and you gotta fight your own head. And we always said just resort back to your lowest level of training and build up from there. So whether, you know, the Marine Corps always teaches you whether you're scared, angry, tired, whatever, just use aggression. Use aggression to get through it.
Muscle through it.
So you got to kind of fight your own head, and you got to just be like, okay, I know what I'm doing. You know what I mean? And that builds off when you eventually become a team leader and a squad leader, and then you're in charge of other dudes. But that first one, when you're a boot, you just kind of rehome yourself and just remember your training and whoop it on, man.
So once you're in it and it's happening, I mean, did you ever engage?
Oh yeah. And there's times where we call it the fog of war, where there's just so much going on. There's just so much for your brain to process. You got to get through that. Get through it, remember your training, and do your job. That's what it boils down to. Do your fucking job, protect a dude to your left, protect a dude to your right, and make it home.
What was the hardest part of that job?
Oh, just being awake for so long and the hypervigilance. Like anytime you leave the wire, or even when you're on your PB and you're standing watch at the gate, you could take fire then too. So just constantly always being just revved up, it takes a big toll on your body and your mind. You know, you get tired and you just got to fight through that, you know. What
firearm were you using in the deepest part of what you were doing?
Oh, my first deployment in Afghan, I was a saw gunner. So that's a belt-fed weapon, 5.56. It's kind of like a smaller version of the old M60, pretty much. Your job is just to lay down fire, accurate fire, you know what I mean? But once the enemy hears that belt-fed weapon kick off, that just fear strikes into them, you know what I mean? There's no better. I'm getting like goosebumps right now on the boner just fucking thinking about it. That belt-fed weapon, I love that sound. Love it.
Were you accurate?
I'd like to say I was. I mean, you know, as accurate as you can be, you know. Half the time you don't know what you're shooting at. So you're kind of listening for mad racks from your team leaders and shit, like, you know, coming from that murder hole over there, or coming from the field over there. So you just kind of dial it in and pair up with your other saw gunner and kind of do interlocking fields of fire and, you know, making sure that we're covering everything so the team can maneuver. That's your basic job, to lay down as much fire as you can so everyone else can maneuver on the battle space and try to gain that upper hand on the Taliban or the enemy, whoever it is. So it's kind of a responsibility, you know?
So, just a little pause here. So, speaking in generalities, can you think about, because again, this is for the benefit of people who are going through maybe similar things.
Oh, yeah.
Can you take us to a specific experience, scenario that was super difficult, where you were either taking fire or given fire, and just tell us that story?
Okay.
Maybe one, just take a moment, maybe one that was the hardest to deal with and maybe woke you up at night when you were back at home, when you were out of the shit and you were back at home, maybe caused conflict between you and your lady and your family. What was that one experience that was the worst?
It was the worst, but ended up being the best.
So take us to that experience.
Okay. So we'll fast forward to when I eventually became a team leader. This was my second Afghan deployment. We're in the Boozefighter, Southern Helmand, province. So I was in charge of my own team. I had, these guys' lives in my hand. My tactical decisions directly reflected, what happened to them and our overall mission.
How many guys?
With attachments, I had about 6 or 7, because I had some Anglo cats with me. Our main job was to establish Afghan police bases as far south as we could. So we established these bases, pretty much knowing no Afghan police or Afghan army has been in these areas. Other Marines have been in there, and some British Marines have been down there before too. But we called it Indian country. Like, you're going into Indian country, get your game face on. So we had to walk, I don't know, probably like 10, 12 miles or so from our main PB with our rucksacks. I mean, we even had donkeys that the battalion got us to carry some of our gear, which ended up being worthless. We gave one away and we shot another one because they took off with our gear. But we were just so tired and so run down, and we were in what we call a waffle field. So if you can picture what a waffle looks like, that's what their agricultural fields look like. So it's always muddy or whatever, but we like to take those so we didn't walk on the main trails because of the IED threat. So we took contact, and this was my first firefight as a team leader. And I had that same thing happen. I kind of had to recollect myself, and I was like, oh fuck, here we go again, man. I'm doing this all over again. But I got myself out of it because I looked left and I looked right and I checked where my team was and what they're positioned, and everybody was doing exactly what the fuck they were supposed to be doing. Everything I trained them to do, and the squad leaders and everything we worked up to do, I didn't have to say a word. I didn't have to tell them anything. It was just, they knew exactly what to do. Our saw gunner was rock and rolling, our 203 gunners launching 203s, and that's when I was like, oh fuck yeah, this is awesome, here we go. And that's how I brought myself out of it, and we did what we had to do and establish that base and set up the Afghan police.
Can you talk about what you did specifically? You gave fire and you took fire?
Yeah, we gave fire, we took fire. We were in such an open position that we couldn't really maneuver a lot because of the IED threat. So everywhere you walked, you had to have a metal detector out front, and a dude with a jammer on his back, this big radio gear. It jams radio frequencies, so they can't use their cell phones or garage door openers to set off an IED. So you have to get all that set up just to maneuver. So we were pinned down, and it was accurate fire. We were in that field, and there was a big tree there, and I was laying next to, we had an Army PsyOps cat with us in his turret. And of course he had big antennas and shit, which is it's just a target. So I'm laying there perfectly flat in this waffle field with just a little mound in that tree as cover, and dust is kicking up, bark's splitting off the tree, and I look over at our Army PsyOps guy. I was like, why the fuck is all this fire directed on us? Not that I wanted to be on my brothers, but I was like, why are they so focused on us? He's like, my Terp's got an ICOM chatter. We can listen to what the Taliban is saying on their radios or whatever, and they fixed in on him and the antennas. I'm like, oh fuck, this sucks. So eventually we had to call in our mobile section. So they were close, so they were able to drive down and provide a little bit more heavier, accurate fire with their 240s and their Mark 19s and 50 cals and shit. So we basically won that firefight pretty much just by sheer American pissed off Marine behind a bell-fed machine gun, you know what I mean?
How long did it last? We talking 10 minutes?
It seems like an hour, 2 hours. It seems forever, but I mean, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, you know what I mean? But there's so much going on, and you're just like, why is this taking so long? Just fucking let's end this shit, you know what I mean? But yeah, it was only 10 or 15 minutes long.
Did that experience leave an imprint on you?
Oh yeah. Even still today, I'm so hyper vigilant, and I always have to check out my surroundings. I always feel like I have to be on the go. In my truck, I carry a full trauma kit. Always got my pistol on me with extra mags. It's I just don't feel safe. You know what I mean? I know I'm safe because I'm back here, but how my brain has been so transformed from being in those scenarios, I think it changed me forever. I don't think I'll ever get rid of that.